I went to the hospital for a fertility test. My estrogen level has already reached a critical state, which means it's almost impossible for me to get pregnant. Suddenly, I felt that I don't have children, and no one would want to marry me. The company has also collapsed. If I have no income, how will I survive? And what's the point of continuing to live? Recently, the blind dates have been a disaster. The guys I like don't like me. The ones who like me, I don't like them. Everyone always says to lower my expectations, but I just can't bring myself to be with those short and unattractive guys. It's as difficult as the shape of hands. Finding a partner is really hard. I think it's better to be single, because being alone is also quite nice. I am 38 years old this year. Many people say I'm an old aunt, an old woman, that an elderly lady can't get married. Really? I've been badly criticized by you all. Let me talk a bit about the main reasons why I've been left behind. To be honest, I'm currently the object of envy for many women. And that's not an exaggeration. I have 2 houses. And I also have a car. If you ask me how I'm doing, in this life, I don't expect anything grand. I'm an ordinary person. For small pleasures and needs, I definitely don't worry about those. When I didn't have money, back then, I just wanted to earn 10,000 a month. To be able to pay for the house, pay for insurance, that would be fine. And at that time, what were my expectations? To find a man who could earn 15,000 a month or 10,000 a month, that would be fine. Because at that time, my ability hadn't reached there. My demands on men weren't that high. Then, when I earned 100,000, my desires began to rise rapidly. At that time, I started to be picky. When looking at men, I didn't just look at character or ability, but perhaps through little things. I would immediately deny a person. It was easy to amplify the flaws of others, as if I didn't see them. Later, when I earned even more, I went through a period of being quite self-satisfied. Previously, my boyfriend had a net worth of millions. I said I didn't want him, and I really didn't. Sometimes, when I think about these years, and look at myself, I feel like I've worked so hard, and it's quite frustrating. I always believed I could meet someone like that. But time has really passed. Because people who are in a better position than me don't look for me. They prefer younger girls. This is an unchanging rule. Because I no longer have much tenderness when dealing with issues. I like to be straightforward. Rarely do I have that delicate demeanor. So, working hard. After becoming independent. What is all this happiness? Nobody wants me. Nobody considers me. This year, I am already 39 years old and have become what is called a leftover woman. Whenever I'm alone, I often think deeply, is it that I am too picky, or is it fate playing tricks on me, preventing me from stepping into marriage? This world seems not to be kind to women like me. I often receive private messages, and in them, there's a hint of strange looks. Those words, like sharp knives, pierce my heart. I try not to care, but those words leave a deep imprint. Some people always look at us older women as if we are unlucky and failures. This prejudice leaves me feeling helpless and angry. At 39, for a woman, it is indeed no longer the prime of youth, and the risks of childbirth are increasingly high, making us older mothers. These are challenges we can't avoid. But I refuse to force myself to marry a man 10 years older just for the sake of getting married. Perhaps, for various reasons, they also haven't married, but in the eyes of others, we leftover women seem like vegetables about to rot in the market, unnoticed, destined to grow old alone. In their view, it seems like our fate is to marry someone physically disabled or an elderly man past his prime. This saddens me. Is it really that we can't find someone normal? Does aging mean losing all our value? Do people our age truly despise us just because we are over 30? I know that everyone has their own choices and destiny. I won't force myself to meet others' expectations. I believe that in this world, there will always be someone who appreciates my uniqueness, someone who is willing to hold my hand and spend the rest of life with me. I just need to wait patiently, staying strong in my heart and faith. One day, I will find the happiness that belongs to me. I'm 35 years old, born in 1990. Sometimes I think, I'm already 35 and still not married. But other times I think, I'm only 35. What's the rush? However, it seems like my parents have already given up on me. I can see that sometimes they feel quite disappointed in me. Like, why can't I just settle? Why can't I just get married? Why is marriage such a big deal for me? It's not that I don't want to get married. It's that I can't find someone. My mom always says, you might feel okay now, but when you get old, you'll definitely feel lonely. I think my mom is right. I don't even need to wait until I'm old. Sometimes I already feel lonely now. I do want a companion. But marriage, for me, is harder than making money. When it comes to marriage and relationships, I've really tried. But every time, the results are disappointing. The more effort I put in, the worse the outcome. I don't know why. It feels like I'm cursed. Like I did something bad in a past life or something. Even with blind dates. Every time I try, I think to myself, let's just make an effort to get along. But in the end, we talk for a while. And then it just fades away without any result. Sometimes I wonder, maybe I'm destined to grow old alone. An older, single woman. A spinster who can't get married. That's what people call me. Yes, you're right. I really am an older, single woman. A spinster who can't get married. You say that about me. And I don't argue. Because it's the truth. Today, I'll let it all out while cooking this spicy dish. Today, my parents came home. And they didn't even ask me if I have someone. So, I asked them, why don't you ask if I have someone? Now my parents are silent. Saying nothing. My parents are probably completely disappointed in me. If they had even a little hope in me, it wouldn't be like this. Thinking about it, I'm almost 40, still single, and haven't been able to get married. If I were my parents, I would also be very disappointed in myself. A couple of years ago, my parents pressured me to get married every day, but starting this year, they stopped pressuring me. They don't even ask if I have someone. Now my parents have an attitude like, marry if you want. Do whatever you want. They don't pressure me. Don't ask. Don't care. I'm almost 40. Still single. Still not married. Thinking about it, I really feel like I'm letting my parents down. I just can't understand. How did I become an older, single woman? A spinster who can't get married. I can't figure out what's wrong with me. Tell me what's wrong, and I'll try to fix it. Will it make any difference? An older, single woman was crying uncontrollably, saying that she's already 39, still unmarried, has nothing, and regrets it deeply, wishing she had married earlier. And also my relatives. All of them are married. Every day at work, they talk about me behind my back. I feel like I'm going crazy. People around me always pointing fingers. A while ago, when I went to register at a marriage agency, many men said, we would rather find a divorced woman with kids than a 39-year-old single woman. Now I'm anxious. I'm almost 40, and I still don't have anyone. I feel like there's no hope left for my life. Oh, Mom. About this situation. I've mentioned it before. You need to think carefully. If you keep holding on to the idea of better alone than with the wrong person, you'd better stick with it. And don't regret it later. And don't break down. Because you might always end up alone. As time goes by, your expectations stay sky high. You're just creating trouble for yourself. From the start, you didn't set your standards right. You're not a princess, but you want to find a prince. As you get older, you still refuse to lower your standards. Just waiting to find your Prince Charming, your soulmate, completely brainwashed by these romantic ideas, which are totally unrealistic, without knowing what kind of person would really suit you. How many good guys have you missed out on? Until one day, you're almost 40, or a bit over 40, and when regret hits, it's already too late. You cry. But actually, the dish has already gone cold. When you start dating, of course, you have to be picky, right? Make careful choices. That's the right thing. You shouldn't settle for just anyone. But if you're too picky, that's also wrong. You're overcomplicating things. In the end, you'll notice that the options presented to you are getting worse and worse. Why? When you're in your 20s, they introduce you to people in their 20s. When you're in your 30s, they introduce people in their 30s. And when you're almost 40, they may introduce you to those who have been married twice or thrice. Unless you're exceptional, extremely beautiful or rich, that's a different story. You could be 50 and still find someone in their 20s. Otherwise, as each year passes, if you continue to think highly of yourself, you'll end up wasting your own time. Then there are people who aren't in a rush, saying, I'll focus on my career, do this and that, then think about marriage later. When you're finally ready for marriage, you look around and, well, there aren't many people left. Those who are introduced to you, you don't like any of them. They are far from what you imagined your partner to be. As the old saying goes, there's a time for everything. And that's absolutely true. Back then, you didn't want to hear it or understand it. By the time you understand it and are willing to listen, it's already too late. Time doesn't flow backward, and your sorrow overflows like a river. And there's another heartbreaking thing. You're already 40. Even if you find someone and get married, it might still be difficult to get pregnant. The final fate of the leftover women will inevitably be that, despite having value, no one wants them. Many people blindly believe that there are 30 million more men than women, and that it's the men who will remain single. In reality, the issue of leftover women is much more serious than that of leftover men. Men have the advantage of being able to look down in terms of age. A 35-year-old man can look for a 25-year-old woman. A 45-year-old man can look for a 35-year-old. But what about women? Most women are not willing to date men younger than themselves. Moreover, if men can't find a partner within their own country, they can look to poorer Southeast Asian countries, such as Vietnam, Laos, or Cambodia. And if that doesn't work, they can even go to Africa to marry a local woman. The number of single women is about to surpass 100 million. Recently, there was a mass matchmaking event with thousands of participants, and guess what? They were all women. Not a single man attended. This issue has become very serious, ladies. Some women, even on their second marriage, still demand rich and handsome men, asking for dowries of 388,000 yuan, as if it's a given. But let me tell you something. Someone can't be both rich and foolish at the same time. In the future, many women will find themselves unable to get married. Don't get mad at me. Some of you deep down already know this but just don't want to admit it. Today, I'm just here to say what you can't. If I don't say it, you'll never realize the seriousness of the problem. Many women at marriageable age still don't want to settle down. They think, I'm still young, I'm pretty, so I'll just keep choosing for a while longer. They believe that when they get tired of choosing, all they have to do is wave their hand, and a bunch of men will show up to marry them. Wow, that's a lot of confidence. And a lot of women demand that their partner must have a car, a house, and savings. But have you ever thought about how many men can actually meet these conditions? With these requirements, you're eliminating most of the men. And the few quality men that remain, they have the absolute power to choose. These high-quality men won't settle for just anyone. They require that a woman be attractive, have money, be educated, know how to cook, and respect the elderly. Now, look at yourself. Do you meet those standards? Many women make just a few thousand yuan a month and still think a man making 10,000 a month isn't good enough. There are even more extreme cases. Some women don't even consider getting a job, relying solely on their parents for support, but fantasize about finding a wealthy husband to fulfill their material desires. Marriage should be between people of similar status. If you're not excellent, how can you expect an excellent man to be interested in you? When you're choosing someone, that person is also choosing you. In the end, you'll find that the one you want doesn't want you, and the one who wants you, you don't want them. At 30-something years old, panic starts to set in. By then, you've gained more life experience, your standards have risen, and average men no longer appeal to you. The quality men you desire are either already married or looking for someone younger and more beautiful. Aren't they more desirable than you? So, ladies, it's time to wake up. Grab your phone now and see which of the men around you might be suitable. Work hard to marry yourself off as soon as possible. Learn to be grateful to those who treat you well and distance yourself from those who don't. Whether someone is good or not, you'll know after spending time with them. Whether a heart is true or not, you'll know when hard times come. Don't hold on to the past, because it's already gone. And don't resist reality, because you still have a life to live.
This last woman is a young Chinese who has awakened to the reality of older women. But if you follow the channel, you've probably seen videos where I address the difficulties these women face in the dating market. Many are rejected even before they can set up a date. Some of them, who can no longer have children, look for younger partners who want to be supported and form a DINK family. I don't have a fully formed opinion on many of the topics I discuss on the channel, but you already know my views on these leftover women. I've talked about this in several other videos. Everyone has the right to demand something in a relationship, but you can't complain if your demands end up driving away the person you want. The future of relationships between men and women is becoming increasingly uncertain, And this is not limited to China, but applies to the whole world. I approach this topic based on Asian perspectives. If you want to see more about these issues and participate in the discussion in the comments, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like. I'll see you in the next video.